restaurants that say Epicurean, usually what they mean is they've got very spicy, expensive meals, and that's just the opposite of what Epicurus talked about. He was arguing that what you should do is eat meals that you know are going to agree with you, that are healthy, would not make your stomach upset. No shellfish, no beans. He had odd dietary things. Oddly enough, he ended up dying with something in his guts that caused him to die. Very painful, they say. But that could happen. In fact, I've known people that have problems with their digestive tract that have died because of that. It's odd that those sorts of things happen. But so Epicurus, basically not religious, doesn't believe in the gods. If the gods are there, the thing is, they don't really care about us, so, it's not pious to believe that if you pray to them or you sacrifice to them that they'll do anything for you. It's just dumb, basically. So it's one of those philosophies that's aimed at having a wonderful life in a very physical sort of way, right? Happiness is the goal of life. So it's kind of the next step up from the Cynics. And the next one is the Stoic philosophy. I'm moving in this direction. And this is a direction that adds a lot more civic responsibilities. The Stoics, which comes from Zeno, the Stoic, who Zeno taught on a porch. And the porch is called a stoa. So, in fact, the phrase was the stoa poikile, which meant the painted porch, because those pillars used to be painted bright colors and stuff. But so the Stoic comes from the porch, because his teaching was on a porch. But you've got lots of examples of Stoics. And the interesting thing is that some of them, like Epictetus, for example, these links, by the way, I know don't work, so don't use them. But Epictetus was a Greek slave. The Romans captured him, and he was a slave to the Romans, and in fact in Nero's court. But he was a very educated slave. So he was not a typical slave, but instead the kind of slave that would run things in the court because of his education. So I picture Nero even sitting there having a party, and Epictetus standing there waiting for any orders or waiting for messages, that need to be solved and so on. He's a very educated member of basically the cabinet or something of that sort.
Is he Stoic?
And they're Stoic.
Oh.
They're Stoic. So Epictetus,
Gotcha.
as an example, right? Did I spell it right? I think so. Epictetus. Right? You see? Epictetus is an example of this school. And another example is Marcus Aurelius. And the interesting thing is, Epictetus is a slave, Marcus Aurelius is an emperor. So the neat thing about this is when you look at the Stoic philosophy, it's the philosophy of empire.
What did you say Marcus Aurelius was?
Marcus Aurelius was an emperor.
Emperor.
I'm pretty sure that, yeah, it didn't work. But we could look up Marcus Aurelius. Notice he's both the Roman emperor from 161 to 180 AD. So this is after the time of Christ, of course, AD. Right? He's also a Stoic philosopher. Zeno. Notice that's 3rd century BC, but still, that's post-Aristotelian, right? And so this is another one of the paths to eudaimonia, or flourishing, right? But this one requires more effort on your part, because Aristotle does point out, in order for you to have and raise a happy child, a good child, you need a good family, and to have a good family, you need a good community, etc., right? Well, and in order to have that good community, you can't ignore things the way the Cynics do and the Epicureans do. You have to do your duty to make sure that it's a good society. Somebody's got to do all those jobs, right? Somebody's got to clean the streets. Somebody's got to keep, the bums out. Somebody's got to arrest the drunks. Somebody's got to police the laws. Somebody's got to make the laws. Somebody's got to argue over taxes, all that sort of thing. Somebody's got to defend the community and the military. All these require effort on your part. And as a result, your focus being on your duty, you wonder, well, how can you experience eudaimonia then? Because it sounds like your flourishing is always going to have to be second shrift to your showing up at the committee meeting. And I don't know if you've ever been at a committee meeting, but those can be really boring and long. Hours of sitting there listening to people that you know are ridiculous, but you've got to be polite and give everybody a chance to say their piece, so that they feel like they're participating, even though nope, that's not what we're going to do, right? Yeah. So how do you experience flourishing in this situation? And it's associated with your mindset. That inside your mind, you're happy. And you end up adopting a stoic attitude towards what's going on around you. So if you've ever heard this word used, a stoic attitude means that you're not letting anything that goes on around you bother you. You can always think your way out of it. So, for example, you're driving down the highway and some fool zips in front of you, driving like a maniac, and as they do that, you feel to yourself, wow, I'm going to get even with him, and go and zip in front of him. No, that doesn't work. That only makes things worse, right? Instead of doing that, you think to yourself, I'm glad I'm not him. He's going to end up in a ditch down there, right? You know, you think to yourself all the good reasons why you're not like that. And you make yourself happy thinking that you are not that maniac. Thank goodness that I'm a sane driver. I'm more focused on getting where I want to go safely, because that's way more important than, my ego, compared to other drivers on the road, right? So that's kind of taking a Stoic attitude towards it. There was an author that wrote a book about his experience in the Holocaust, and he was the audiobook. So Viktor Frankl. Video the screen. Viktor Frankl, right? He's actually, well, he's dead now, pretty obvious, but there are actually videos of him